Brad, let's start with Robert Williams, Kemba Walker. Are they playing tonight?
Both out, John.
Other questions for Coach? Go to Brian Robb.
Is there any improvement in either of those guys? Is looking like they're probably not out for the series if you guys are able to win tonight. Like, how are both of them looking with both their injuries?
Yeah, I think there's improvement. Kemba's continued to be pretty sore, but Rob's definitely improved. But still the combination of the ankle and the toe. So both out tonight, and we'll go from there.
John Corrales.
Brad, you have to feel for Kemba here. He's played for the team now for 2 full seasons. You guys made a big run last year. It was in the bubble. He had the one playoff game here in front of the fans, and he couldn't play. And you guys have an uphill battle. I mean, what's that like within the organization, with the team, watching Kemba go through this and missing out on what he came here for?
Yeah, I've sat down with Kemba in my room today for a while, and told him how badly I feel for him and how much we just want him to feel better. I think and when we talked about it, it doesn't sound like it's as much of the knee that he's been maintaining all year. It's the bruise. It's the bone bruise. It's in a different spot than prior where the bone bruise occurred. And so it's given him fits, and, he gutted through that on Friday. Obviously felt a lot more sore and then today. So, I certainly feel for him. But our focus is on how can we play great as a team, so that we can give those guys another chance. And hopefully with a few more days, guys feel better.
Mark Murphy.
Hey, Brad, you talked about in the last game how you guys just started scrambling too much. I mean, how do you get your guys to sort of stay home from that?
Yeah, that's a tough thing, right? I mean, you've got to present these guys with the appropriate amount of bodies and attention, and and throw different looks at them, while all the same time keeping your shell as much tact as possible. Easier said than done. We've got a plan of attack and how we want to start the game, and a few small tweaks that we've talked about, and we'll adjust accordingly as the game goes on. And one of the things that I think is really important is that we don't overreact to the very difficult contested jump shots, because then if you do, that's when it opens up, drives to the rim, threats at the rim off cuts, open shots off drive and kicks, and multiple drives and kicks, and then also rebounding, and especially with Brown in the game in the middle of that, pain on the rolls and his rebounding. I mean, it just opens it all up if you're over scrambling. So you just can't overreact to the difficult contested jump shot. That's what you want to try to force. And then you got to go back down to the other end of the court and play good, purposeful offense. I think that was the other part of our scrambling defensively was, we went down and we had some quick, bad possessions, especially in that third quarter. And, you just can't have that against these guys. They turn them into points too quickly.
Tim Bontemps.
Brad, obviously it was a rough start in Boston for Evan for a bunch of reasons out of his control. But over the last 2 or 3 weeks, as he's been healthy and able to kind of get into a rhythm, have you been able to see how he's able to fit in for you guys, not only with what you're trying to do now, but potentially beyond that, if you guys are able to keep him and bring him back this?
Yeah, Evan's a good player. I think that, for us to have success tonight, one of the things that we've got to do is we've got to help him find spots and get him in good spots, because he can score the ball for us. And he can also drive and make plays. He had the 2 good drive and dump offs the other day, including the one in transition. And he knows how to play. He brings that experience on the offensive end. He can play against different defenses. He can play against traditional. He can play against the switching. He can space and drive. And so, you know, he's a big part of us, you know, and I think we need to make sure that we find his strengths as a team as much as possible.
Final question, Gary Washburn.
Yeah, two totally different topics, Brad. One, with Robert, will you guys have to kind of address how you approach his offseason? He just seems to be besieged with just minor injuries or the unusual injuries, and to keep him from, you know, just being continuously picking up these injuries. And then the second question is, what's been your assessment of one? We didn't get a chance to ask you about the bottle thrown at Kyrie, and we didn't get a chance to ask you if Kyrie stepping on the leprechaun at center court after the game. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, with Robert, as you asked, he's going to have, you know, whenever our season is over, he's going to have to be off that toe to let it fully heal for, you know, however many weeks. But with regard to the other small stuff, the ankle and those type of things, that's not anything that we are, you know, overly concerned about. We try to manage his minutes at the start of the year appropriately so that he would feel great, especially with coming off the 50 games missed last year with the hip. And from that point, he did. It was just unfortunate that he got the turf toe in the ankle. With regard to Kyrie, you know, I just think the other day, like, you know, I just echo what Smart and Jason said, that the bottle throwing is just unacceptable. You know, it's just, it's not part of the game. You know, it's not the way that, you know, anybody in the stadium, 99.9% of the people in the stadium want to be represented. And, you know, it's just unacceptable. And I'm glad that it was handled accordingly. But just like a lot of these incidents that are happening across the league, like, I agree with those, like, understand that fans can bring a great deal of passion, and rightfully so, but it's got to be within the confines of being respectful and, you know, recognizing that these guys are out there giving their all for their team. And regardless of the team you're cheering for or not, they should be treated with, you know, dignity and respect. And, you know, throwing something at somebody is not okay.
We'll wrap it up right there. Thanks, Coach.